don't care if they are. I am. I like that. Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday night 7 to 7, July the 2nd, 2019 council meeting starting at 7:09. At this time, where we all stand, we'll be led by, for invocation, led by Police Captain Dane Johnson of the Christ Church of the Valley.
You can remove your hats. Our Heavenly Father, we are so grateful tonight as we gather in this public place to talk about very, very important topics. We are so thankful for the men and women who have stepped forward to lead us. We ask that tonight you would give them wisdom and discernment as they do that. We also pray that you would grant them humility to do it from a position, Father, that will allow for our community to be represented, the good of the whole. For we know, Father, that we are best when we are doing it together. And we ask that our community would be drawn together tonight as a community. We pray your blessing on every decision that is made, for we know that these decisions do not just affect us tonight, but could affect us for years and decades from now. And we pray this all in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilwoman Lopez.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Castellanos.
Here.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Present.
Councilmember Shoemaker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu.
Yep.
Mayor Johnson.
Here. At this time, we have any reporting out of closed session?
There is nothing to report out of closed session. After this meeting, the City Council will return to closed session. I do not anticipate that there would be a need to report anything out of that, but if you want to wait for our report out of that closed session, you are certainly entitled to. We just conducted a prior meeting. There's a statement that we might be needing to add something to the agenda. That is not the case. I have nothing further.
Mr. City Manager, do you have any changes to the agenda? No. Okay, at this time we do have a couple presentations. I shall come down. Thank you. In order to honor our Volunteer of the Year Award recipient, at this time I would like to call the Assistant City Manager, Nicole Prestiani, to come down, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and community members. Tonight is a great privilege for me. I get to introduce Andres Castaneda. You want to stand up and... I'll be brief because I know there's, some other items tonight because I could talk about this guy all night. I mean, he really is a humble public servant. I mean, he really goes above and beyond to give back to our community. He volunteers with Kiwanis, but what I can say about him is that you've really reshaped events that we've worked with you on. I mean, I don't think that there's a person in here that's worked with you that hasn't felt the community service aspect of what you do. And I think that that's why you're being honored tonight. And I think that we're going to honor you the rest of the year. And I think you're being honored on the 3rd of July here tomorrow night. So I just want to say thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure working with you. And I know that all of our staff enjoy putting events together and really for the benefit of the community and all the charitable work that you do. So thank you so much.
Really brief. So I just want to say thank you to the City Council, to the city for all that you guys do, and for honoring me for, the work that we do as servants of the community is basically to give back as much as we can. I'm honored to be recognized, but I truly share this with everybody else that serves the community. There's over 30 service clubs in West Covina. And there's countless people that do things on their own that don't see the recognition, are not here to kind of validate the work that they do. But I definitely feel I'm sharing this with them, with my fellow Kiwanians, Brad Manning, as well as Vern Moyer, for all the work that we're constantly doing just to better the community. At the end of the day, it's about creating a better environment for our kids, for our seniors, and for everybody around. So thank you again.
Okay, she's going to hide it. The City of West Covina, we do have a certificate for you. The City of West Covina City Council is pleased to recognize Andrea Castaneda, Community Service Volunteer of the Year. Thank you so much. Does anybody want to take a picture? If not, then we have... I'll let you do yours first. I'm sorry. I'm going to introduce yourself. I can introduce her, but, I'm going to let her. Everybody knows who she is.
Good evening, everyone. I represent Senator Susan Rubio of the 22nd District. And on her behalf and on behalf of the California Senate, we are very honored to be presenting a certificate of recognition to Mr. Castaneda for all of your wonderful work with the Kiwanis, who are a fantastic organization. If you have any time, please go visit, because they are great. They do so much to help our communities, in particular our children, and we are so thankful for all the work you put in for our community as a whole. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I would love to.
Now we have one more. So this is the last one. This in here is from Senator Lang Lang Cheng. And it says to honor being recognized by the West Covina City Council as a 2019 Community Service Volunteer of the Year. Okay. Thanks, buddy. Okay, just stay where you're at, lady. Parks and Recreation makes lives in the communities better now and in the future. And the month of July is celebrated across the state as Parks Make It Life Better Month. In celebration of our parks in the city of West Covina, I would like to thank, I'm not calling you up because you're already here, Assistant City Manager Nicole Presiani, because what she does is above and beyond. And we want to thank you. Please say something about the parks as I give you this recognition.
Sure. Well, first of all, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without my staff. I have a team of dedicated individuals and volunteers, and thank you for all of our public-private partnerships. We appreciate that. That really does make parks make life better, but with partnerships, so thank you. I do want to just invite everybody out tomorrow night here at the Civic Center, 4 to 9 p.m. We're going to be having our Independence Day celebration for the 3rd of July. I'm sorry, no fireworks this year, but we do promise to provide a family fun event with a laser show. We're going to have a DJ, fun activities, food trucks, and the Smoking Cobras will be going on at 6 o'clock. So we invite everybody out to celebrate Parks Make Life Better and Independence Day. So thank you very much.
Okay. George. Here we go. Okay, now is the time for oral communications. All those who are wishing to speak on oral communication, if you haven't filled out a yellow card, we have them upstairs. Please fill one out, hand them to our assistant city clerk, and she'll call you up in order. Okay, if not seen.
Tonight we're going to start with Adriana Alvarez, followed by Frederick Sykes, followed by Brenda Whitney. If you could please line up in the middle and come up in order.
Good afternoon. Where is my time so I know? Okay. Well, I want to first tell you that it's so lovely to see you at eye level. I am used to speaking up, and sometimes that has an effect on the way you want to present your message. I am the moderator for a Coyote awareness group in West Covina, and I'm here to speak on behalf of many of my members who have gone through traumatic events due to the recent continuous attacks in the city. One of the things that I want to tell you is that I have read your Coyote management plan, and it looks very thorough. I'm really happy to know that you have a contract with the Department of Agriculture, because many of the biologists that have a long history of doing studies on coyotes come from that theory, from that school. And one of the main concerns that my group has is that we have read page 15 of the Coyote Management Plan, and it states that many of the things that the citizens are experiencing are at a level orange to a level red, which means that the threat is kind of imminent to happen. We are going to, at one point, have a human or a child, God forbid, attack. So when they call the Department of Agriculture, they've been told things like, you know, you have to haze more aggressively, you need to throw water, you need to make more noise. But many of them have tried every single humanly possible thing to haze them. We don't hate the coyotes. We do understand that they have a part, but we don't believe that they have a part in our backyards. A lot of people sometimes, they feel offended by the name, evict coyotes. Well, who are you to tell them to get out? Well, we don't want them to get out. We want them to get out of our backyards, of our public spaces. There's this level of safety that we need to feel in our own homes. So I'm urging all of you to please listen to the concerns and don't fall for the things that the Humane Society says. They're full of good intentions. God knows I gave them so much of my money. The last check I wrote for them, well, you know, deduction from my account, we don't have checks anymore, right, was in January. And that was the day that my cat got killed. I followed every single tip that they gave me. I did everything that I was supposed to do. And my cat got killed in the middle of the day, in my property. So I urge you, Mr. Mayor, to please listen to us. There are good old ranchers out there that handle this problem all the time. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes things work for a reason. And I hope that everybody can understand that we just want to be safe in our city. That's all we want. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor Johnson, members of the City Council, and members of the city staff, and members of the audience. I'm Frederick Sykes, 41-year resident of West Covina. I'm also a retired deputy sheriff, former mayor of West Covina also. I'm here tonight because some of my neighbors asked me to speak to the City Council tonight. And I know that you have some trying times here. It's very clear that we are in bankruptcy mode as a city. But nevertheless, some of the services that you are eliminating are creating major concerns for many of the residents. The personal use of fireworks is absolutely ridiculous. You hear it whether it's daylight or dark. They're going off and they have high volumes. Also, the speaker before me is here addressing the Coyote situation, and it was brought to my attention about the close encounters with coyotes. At Wamarado Park, a child was injured by a coyote, and that child was treated for rabies. Now, this is a tough ordeal for anybody, being treated to prevent rabies. Another incident, a coyote entered a home through an open glass patio door. And in early June, one street over from where I live, a family that's been for about 9 years now, they've been with the practice of going to work in the morning and leaving their dogs out in their rear yard. And in the evening, when they returned, on this one occasion, they found evidence that their dog had been eaten by a coyote. So I asked, do you know about the growing coyote problem? And what are you doing about it? Next, there's the matter of the Shadow Oak and South San Jose Hills community that deals with our property values and our quality of life. We have a landscape maintenance problem. It's quite evident. See, in my community, we pay higher property taxes for our open green spaces to be maintained under the direction of city staff. And some of my neighbors had to pay more for their homes that came with a view of the hillsides and the mountains. Unfortunately for us, our taxes did not decrease. But some of the views and the property values are decreasing and declining because the views are now blocked. And some sidewalks are blocked by overgrown vegetation. What I ask you to do is to please look at the rear yards that are near Stacy Court. On Stacy Court, the rear yards have a large paseo. If you go to that paseo and you look up, you'll see that these nice, beautiful homes, some with glass walls, they have brick, a solid block wall, and glass to aid their view. And that's now blocked by vegetation that's not being properly maintained. Also, I ask you to walk, if you can, along Wednesday Drive between Hawaii Street and Yvonne Street. And there you see that you could not stay on the sidewalk to continue walking. You have to walk around the plants. Our code enforcement has been returned to one person answering the telephone. And our police and fire, they are exiting as fast as they can. As soon as possible, our city and our new animal control contractor need to present a citywide education and safety program on coyotes. And if we still have the Discover West Covina magazine, that might help with communicating the information out to the public, especially to those people without a social media platform. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
After Brenda Whitney, I'd like to call up Sylvia Gonzalez, followed by Heidi Lopez, followed by Carla Boggs.
I hate to be repetitive, but this is such a huge issue with the coyotes. I still have nightmares because I witnessed my sister's dog get torn apart by a coyote in her backyard. And she still hasn't gotten over it. It was last Halloween. We were like 10 feet away. And this coyote jumped a 6-foot wall. It happens very fast. He ended up dying the next day. He was bite marks over his entire body. It was horrendous. And I have a dog, and I can't even let him out on the patio anymore. I can't take him to the park because coyotes are sneaking up on people behind him. I always felt comfortable taking him for a walk every day at Creekside Park, several parks. And now I hear they're sneaking up behind you. So I just want to say I hope people take this as seriously people who have actually witnessed it because it's horrendous. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sylvia Gonzalez, and I moved here to West Covina about 7 years ago when I thought I bought my dream home. But I'm finding out my happiness is being interrupted because there is a coyote problem in my neighborhood, and it's causing me a lot of stress and anguish. I am the owner of 3 rescue chihuahuas who have brought me companionship and a lot of happiness because they are my family. I have heard a lot about the coyote attacks in West Covina. I have been monitoring the location of their attacks through social media. It was just 3 weeks ago when I was taking my dogs out for a walk that my neighbor 4 houses down from me told me that morning her husband saw a coyote walking along our brick wall. That's when I knew I had to be more careful with my dogs. My dogs are normally inside dogs, but when I go to work, they are confined to the laundry room, and they are trained to use their doggy door to go outside to do their personal business. My dogs like to sit in the sun and play in my big yard. Now, after hearing of the pack of coyotes roaming around the Sunset Workman Vincent area and hearing of the pet deaths close to my house, I knew I was risking my dogs' lives by letting them go in and out of the house on their own. I no longer allow them to go outside during the day, and now they are cooped up in my laundry room all day long, doggy door closed, and I find myself rushing home after work to let them out. At night, they sleep inside, but I used to have the doggy door open. Now I close it, which means now my dogs wake me up at 2 or 3 in the morning to go outside, which has interrupted my sleep patterns because I'm getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning, which means I'm tired and grumpy at work. This is really no way to live in fear of going out in our own backyards, the fear of not letting our pets do their personal business outside unless they're escorted. Even escorted dogs have been attacked in front of owners. We are required to have dog licenses and are required to have our dogs immunized, and we are required to have them on leash, and we are required to not have our dogs run loose. Yet we allow coyotes to run our streets, to attack our dogs who are in their own backyards, impacting our dogs' lives and our happiness. As a member of this community, I want to stress to the City Council that we have a coyote problem, and I urge them to start trapping coyotes. There are hot spots in our city. I don't want to hear about any more pet deaths. Our homes are supposed to be our castle, and instead, us and our pet owners are living in fear. I have been very lucky that my 3 chihuahuas have not been attacked. I urge you to revise your coyote plan because even at stage red, it does not mention any removal of coyotes. At that level is when a pet is killed, and it should be taken seriously. We cannot live with wild animals going into our yards, walking along brick walls, and jumping into our own backyards, killing our pets. I urge the City Council to reconsider their coyote plan and to protect the citizens of West Covina and to start trapping coyotes and remove them. Thank you.
Good evening, all. I am here on behalf of Senator Susan Rubio to invite everyone to an event the Senator is holding on July 13th. She is having a community coffee where she will give a presentation on what she's been doing in the legislature and where she will take questions from the public. So again, it's on July 13th at the Azusa Public Library at 9:30 a.m. And if you have any questions, please come find me or call the office. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I also am very concerned about my pets. We have 3 dogs. I've been hearing about this coyote problem. It started in Baldwin Park. I informed my husband. He says, oh, it's just way over there. All of a sudden, I hear there's coyotes, Merced and Orange, over by the hospital over here, and now a park in West Covina where a child got bit. And it was at that point that my husband said, okay, enough is enough. We need to do something. So he went ahead and called Channel 4 News to let them know about this incident because we need to, get the word out there. But now we have reshuffled our cars around to get away from a wall. We keep our trash can inside the garage because we don't want it up against the wall where the coyotes can jump on it. Now I'm hearing that they're walking along block walls. And our backyard is Francisquito, so we have a block wall. And so I'm like, okay, my pets aren't safe either. So, we're just all very concerned. I mean, we don't hate the coyotes. We just hate what they're doing to us. And we feel like we're prisoners in our own homes. And everyone else has just said it beautifully. And I just want to thank all the people, for coming, because I did post, on our neighborhood, site that there was the meeting, and people said they were going to come. So I was happy to hear that. Thank you for your time.
I'd like to call forward Elsie Messman, followed by Herb Redholz, followed by Teresa Hugh.
Mayor, council, staff, and everyone here tonight and watching at home, my name is Elsie Messman, a resident of West Covina. I want to speak on number 9 regarding the digital reader board signs. I can understand the Otto Plaza, Plaza West Covina, Eastland Shopping Center advertising, but if other companies or dealerships from other cities want to put up their signs, that's cutting our own throats. If this should be done, it should be done for West Covina businesses only. Too many signs can be distracting when you are driving. We were promised a digital sign at Shadow Oak Park a number of years ago, and we still have nothing. If the city can't afford it, how do you think small businesses are going to pay the price that they say that they can make? Are the businesses are in for making money, not for that much for advertising? And we can't discourage the mom and pop businesses because they won't be included in any of these signs. Article number 11 regarding revitalization of Glendora Avenue should not go forward. It's a waste of money, and why do we need a downtown area in West Covina anyway? Another park for the homeless, and only one side of the street can have a variety of stores. All these buildings should be demolished, as they are probably the first ones built in West Covina. I hope this council knows that last year 21 maintenance workers and more workers this year were laid off due to the budget. We need to bring money in and not spend money on something that isn't necessary at this present time. Stop and think about it. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members and folks and staff. I'm up here on 3 items briefly. First off is item number 4, the appointment of the police chief. I am up here to support totally the appointment of Richard Bell to be our permanent chief of police. I think the community is behind him. I attended the coffee with the chief a week and a half ago at Panera Bread, and the guy is great with people. He understands the issues. I sat down with him for a while, and he addressed my issues and concerns, and he's been here 21 years. I think he's the right man for the right job at the right time for this city, and I would urge a unanimous vote of this council to appoint him. Okay, item number 9. How about that? Thank you, Mayor Johnson, for agendizing this item. Several years ago, I would not have even thought about this. But with the modern technology that's available to us today, you don't need to have, tons and tons of poles in the ground up and down the freeway. You can accomplish quite a bit by putting a handful or less, because you can accommodate several advertisers on a digital board. And let's be very clear, the idea behind this is to generate a fresh stream of revenue to our general fund. And that's what this can do. The staff report indicates we can bring in several $100,000 a year, every year, of money that we don't have to go into the pocketbooks of the taxpayers for. So to me, this is a no-brainer. And my point that I was stressing was to do it sensibly so we don't have freeway clutter. And by doing just a few polls and taking advantage of the digital boards, we can accomplish that. So I would urge you to take the next steps and bring this forward, and let's get this done. The last one is item number 11, Councilwoman Lopez Viado's request to take another look at Glendora Avenue. Unlike the last speaker, I think we need to do that. You know, we spent a lot of money and a lot of time to develop a plan for that area, which stalled. That's fine. We have different council people on here. We have, I think it's well worth the opportunity to take a look at it. I see nothing wrong with taking a look at it. She mentioned that we need to get rid of those buildings. Well, you got to have a plan to do that. You can't just say, let's get rid of those buildings. We've done that before, and we have vacant land. So you need a plan. So I think it's well worth the effort to take a look at it, and I applaud you for bringing it forward as a mother may I, and I would like to see it go forward. But please, let's consider the, one more thing. Oh, gosh, 2 minutes. I'm really quick tonight. I want to remind everybody that on July 4th at Hearst Ranch, there is a pancake breakfast at 8 o'clock. Okay, we always have it year after year after year. This year it's being put on and by the Elks Lodge of West Covina. They do a great job out there. It's $5. You get pancakes, eggs, sausage, I think bacon. You get all the coffee, juice, and milk that you want. It's $5, 8 o'clock to 11. We don't have the big fireworks show tonight, on Thursday night, but we have the deal here tomorrow night. So I wanted to remind you all of that and invite the community to come out there and support that effort. But let's get those billboards up there and bring some money in year after year after year. Thank you very much.
After the next speaker, I'd like to call forward Sue Aguino, followed by Phil Kaufman, followed by John Kiefer, and lastly, Isabel Kay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm actually from Long Beach. My name is Teresa Hugh. This better? There we go. Thank you. So my name is Teresa Hugh. I am from Long Beach, but I have been following the urban coyote problem now for 6 years. So I came in to support some of the folks here in West Covina. I've been reading online on Facebook about the problems they've been having, and they sound like what we're having all over Southern California. I've even spoken in front of DFW Commission at their meetings about this problem, and it is very widespread. A few things, I won't take up too much of your time, but you're going to hear a lot of miscellaneous emotional arguments about why coyotes shouldn't be lethally removed or controlled at all, right? And there's a few things you'll hear over and over. Coyotes were here first. Well, actually they weren't. They followed people from the Midwest, from the Plains states, when homesteaders came west. They were actually native to the plains, and they followed in the 1700s. So they follow people. They like development. They like to be where humans are because we have food scrap, we have pets, we have livestock, that sort of thing. So really, the fact that coyotes, were they here first or not, it really doesn't matter because they're a problem now. And they do pose a threat to both people and pets. If you read, say on Wikipedia, you just look up coyote threats to humans, you'll find that in California, 89 coyote attacks were recorded where one or more coyotes made physical contact with a child or adult or attacked a pet while in close proximity to its owner. In 56 of these attacks, one or more persons suffered an injury. So there's quite a bit of detail and data out there for your research. You'll also hear we're taking their habitat. Well, your city's been here quite a while, as has mine, and a lot of Southern California cities. So really, we're not taking their habitat. They just find ours very, very attractive because we have water, we have pets, we have small wildlife, we have trash, we have golf courses, we have no predator, right? No natural predator. So what animal wouldn't love that? Other species don't find the urban environment very attractive. They don't want to be where we are. Coyotes are not that way. They're very intelligent. They know how to stay out of our way, but yet hunt our neighborhoods and take our pets. And they're very agile. And so this is why they're really here, is they want to take advantage of what we have. But we as humans have a right to have a safe habitat also, to raise our children and to have our pets. So I believe that we have a right to draw the line in the sand and say, you know, this is enough. We need to be able to go into our backyards, feel safe with our pets and our children, not to have to worry about disease spreading. Mange is very common amongst coyotes. It's actually their number one killer. And it spreads to other pets. It spreads to pets, and it does spread to humans. So with their growing populations, this is a problem that needs to be looked at. There's also the argument that they remove rats. They perform a lot of rat control. Well, they're finding that that's not really true in the city. In the wild, yes, because their diet is so much smaller, so that they can keep control of the rats. But in the city, with all the other items on the menu, they're not choosing rats as much. They're choosing cats and dogs, and that's to our detriment, and our grief and our, quality of life that's being compromised. So you won't be run over by rats and gophers and what have you if you remove the habituated problem coyotes. No one is asking for extermination of all coyotes on the face of the earth. We didn't all just wake up one morning and decide, let's wage war on coyotes. We've done our research, and we know that with removal of the most habituated ones, the ones that have no longer have fear of us and don't have fear of coming into our yards, if you remove those ones, it puts fear back in the remaining population. That, coupled with public education, should get the problem under much better control and be like it was, 20, 30 years ago. So, and if you trap coyotes, more are not going to take their place automatically. With public education, with maintenance trapping, you won't have a problem, and you will not. Coyotes do not have magical reproduction powers. So, there you go. Okay, you're welcome.
Mayor Johnson, Pro Tem Mayor Wu, Council and staff, I'm here in support of the appointment of Chief Bell. My name is Sue Augino, and I am the administrator of West Covina Take Our Neighborhoods Back social media site. We started a couple years ago to address the resident concerns regarding homelessness in West Covina. And when Chief Bell was appointed interim chief, he asked if we could meet and discuss the concerns of our residents. Since that meeting, we have come together. We have collectively, under his direction, created a party of 16 people. There's Chief Bell, his officers, the HOPE team, the DA's office, mental health professionals, residents, the maintenance crews, and business owners have all come together to not only discuss strategies and concerns about homelessness, but theft and whatever concerns we have. We've brought together such a huge team that all of us have something to bring to the table. And he truly thinks outside the box, and he's moving the West Covina into a new direction. He has implemented social media sites to keep our public informed of the police activity, and the quality of life in West Covina is truly a priority of Chief Bell's. And I truly suggest and hope that he gets all of your votes. And secondly, on the coyotes, absolutely. They have just taken over. And I'm afraid I've been on my same street for 58 years, and I never thought I would have to be worried about putting my animals out in my backyard. It is a huge concern, and it is one that really needs to be addressed, and I hope that that happens as well, and I thank you for your time.
Good evening. I'd like to address item 10, both as a concerned resident and as a member of the Community and Senior Services Commission. But first, I'd like to say that the community will miss having Dennis Patton as a vital part of our police department, and I wish him well in his future endeavors and retirement. And also, I'd like to congratulate the council and city manager in a great selection of Richard Bell as our new permanent police chief. When at one of our commission meetings earlier this year, we learned that there was $2 million sitting in a bank account from Safe Neighborhood Parks propositions from 1992 and 1996 that had gone unused for park maintenance for all these years. It was quite a shock. And I'm glad to see that this is being looked into, and hopefully those funds can be spent in an expeditious manner in order to be able to utilize coming Measure A funds. But in looking at the staff report and the attachments, in particular, Attachment 1, I was really amazed to see that over a 22-year period under the Safe Neighborhood and Parks propositions, that there were approximately 27 or 28 projects done. But this list shows the construction costs, but it doesn't show maintenance costs. It also doesn't show when these projects were actually done. And my main question is, what maintenance was done or has been done over the years on these various projects, and those funds are available from the period of 1997 through 2019 this year. And again, as stated previously, there was $2.04 million sitting in a bank account to be used on these projects for ongoing maintenance. So my question is, what has been done and how has that maintenance been paid for over these last 22, as long as 22 years for some of these projects? Now, in the staff report, it's mentioned as to coming funds for Measure A that city staff costs to maintain specific projects can be used, can be paid for by Measure A funds. So my question is, has that been the case with the Safe Neighborhood Parks proposition funds? Have the cost of employee work been paid for out of those funds? And if not, if they have been paid their regular salary with no connection to the Proposition 1992 and 1996 proposition funds, can there any creative retroactive bookkeeping be done? If that money was paid out of the general fund, can we go back and reassess those payments and reimburse the general fund out of that $2.04 million? I think that's something that should be looked into. Also, going forward with projects under Measure A funding. The final statement on the staff report states the following: the Community and Senior Services Commission Ad Hoc Committee for Capital Improvement Projects will be involved with the design elements, and the Commission as a whole will make recommendations to the Council regarding projects after having received input from the community at large. Well, both Councilwoman Lopez and I were longtime members of the Ad Hoc Committee for Capital Improvement Projects. And going back to 2013, 2014, we were given lists of projects, possible maintenance, enhancement, and repair projects. And we go out and we look at these projects and we prioritize them, and we'd submit a list, and we were told there's no money to pay for any of these. So I just wonder, was there actually funds under the Safe Neighborhood Parks propositions? Was there funds available as part of that $2 million that's sitting there? Should that have been available for these projects that we prioritized? And I always remember that I believe it was at Palmview Park. We're standing next to the ball field and down the first baseline, considering whether or not new fencing was needed, and a foul ball comes right at us while we're standing there. So, and I don't think that fencing was ever done. So, some of these things, maybe they could have been done if those funds had been properly handled. But I think we need to go back and look and see if there's any possibility of reimbursing the general fund for costs that have been paid out of general fund money when specific money was available from the 1992 and 1996 propositions.
John Kiefer, followed by Isabel Kay.
Hi, good evening. Yes, my name is John Kiefer. My wife and I live in Downey, and we just wanted to come to the meeting here and support the city, and the people who live here. This coyote problem is becoming really bad. 2015, I got up to go to work at 4 in the morning. I looked across the street, 2 coyotes had just killed a neighbor's cat. So my wife and I have been studying and researching this for about 4 years, almost 5 years. Unfortunately, it's not going to get any better because the only predator that will take out a coyote is a wolf. They follow the railroad tracks, the riverbeds, the freeways. They have babies twice a year, and you have about close to 6 babies each time. You should maybe do some research and maybe get some of the in Downey, city of Downey, they formed a volunteers group of citizens that live in Downey. They're working hand in hand with the mayor and the assistant city manager's secretary. And they're looking at the coyote management plan they have in place, and they're going out with hanging door flyers, warning flyers. They have lawn signs. People are getting actively involved to see if they can solve this problem. Recently in Downey, this poor woman was walking her dog, and 4 adult coyotes came up and two young ones. The 2 of the larger ones, the adults, attacked and killed her dog right in front of her, and she was devastated. So basically, it's going to be a real safety issue. This is far removed in New Jersey recently. Some woman was pushing her stroller in a park, had a 4-year-old in a stroller. Coyote jumped up, knocked her over, bit her leg. The stroller fell over and bit the child's leg. They see small children as prey. In the late 90s, a little girl named Kelly Keene in Glendora was playing in her parents' front yard. The father looked out the window. A coyote was dragging her daughter across the street. The parents rushed her to a hospital. After 3 hours worth of surgery, she died of a broken neck and blood loss. So in a short period of time in Glendora, they trapped and killed 50 coyotes. In a short period of time, the people went to City Hall and asked them to do something. They killed 50 coyotes. For 10 years, Glendora had no problems. So the situation you got to start somewhere. Unfortunately, the situation is going to get worse. The cities are going to be forced to do something because it's not going to get any better. It's really sad that people are losing their pets. It's horrific, and it's a safety issue, for people because they're attacking humans without dogs. And it's kind of sad that you can't live in your own backyard and know that your dogs are safe. They're not safe because they can run 40 miles an hour and easily jump a 7-foot fence. So it's just a suggestion. You might get some of the people that live here in Covina, maybe talk with the mayor and the council and form a volunteers group and look at your plan, study it, and the volunteers can work and educate people. Some people don't even know about the danger of coyote. And it's sad. You got young people, old people, people with children walking their dogs. And eventually a child is going to get hurt, somebody's going to get hurt, or an old person is going to get attacked, fall down and get hurt really bad, But it's, some of these things you could take into consideration, Public education is the best thing because people don't know. My wife and I have studied all the city's plans. They have warning brochures. They need to maybe revise those brochures to let them know that a coyote can run 40 miles an hour and jump a 7-foot fence because people are in their backyards thinking they're safe and they're not. It's rather sad. I'll leave 2 examples. You can look at these if you want. Like I said, the reason I came here tonight is to support, the people in Covina because what affects one city affects another city. My heart goes out to the people that, West Covina, yes. Anyway, thanks for your time. You have a nice evening.
Hello, good evening. My name is Isabel Keeper. I'm John's wife, and we have been researching, reading articles from the beginning when we were startled, extremely surprised that there were coyotes in Downey. My husband's lived in Downey over 60 years. I've been there over 50. And what I don't know how familiar you are with the plan that your city has adopted, but I found out that the cities adopt a very similar coyote management plan from one city to the next. And the only few things that change is the response to a coyote activity. So, the yellow, green, or orange zones can vary a bit, but they're essentially the same thing. And that plan was initially created by the Humane Society of the United States. It's an animal rights group. They're not biologists. The Department of Fish and Wildlife adopted it, and then cities looking for help go to the Department of Fish and Wildlife. We in Downey had a town hall meeting, and there was a representative there, and they said very clearly, we're not in the business of managing coyote populations. So cities, I think, are under the impression we're going to get help from them. Hey, help us manage it, but they're not there to do that. So maybe you can clarify that, and my suggestion would be seek other agencies, county, state, that would be able to help you. Also, I found out that there's a Department of USDA Wildlife Services. You know, they're very active in trapping and so forth, very aggressive animals. Mountain lions, coyotes are included, and I think you should be able to use them, but I don't know how familiar everyone is with that situation. So I ask you to please research that. The coexistence plans, and that's what it is. You know, the plans are asking us to live along among the coyotes, have failed. I know as far back in Orange County, the problem was quite rampant. When we started researching it in 2015, no city has a successful plan. The outcomes have been just like here, a lot of pet loss. Some children have been attacked. So I think if you could just reevaluate your plan, look at it again, and hopefully you can question the entire coyote management plan. Otherwise, I think I will be concerned that your efforts will be futile because you're starting with a flawed plan. The plan asks for this incredible burden on residents. Keep your pet inside 24/7. Do not leave them. Even someone mentioned that they take their pet out, at 2 a.m. That pet is at very high risk of getting killed. Our neighbor, an older lady, had a Chihuahua. It lived in its house nearly 24/7. It took it out at night to potty. There was a coyote hiding in a bush, took it before the lady could take a step. So that's what we're looking at, very fast, very aggressive animals. Looking at your coyote management plan, I think it's kind of vague or not very specific. How many pet deaths is going to trigger trapping, if any? How many sightings? I know every city has, recommendation. Every sighting that you have, please call in, so forth. But there's no response from any city as far as we can tell. So then what happens is residents do not report, and then there's a false sense of, things are looking better, or, animal rights groups want to post that on the cities. Hey, everything looks good. Everyone is hazing, and there isn't any animal tax, but the residents have given up. What's the point of reporting when we don't see any action? Just have a few more, please. So who's in charge of the actual implementation? There's really no specific person that's in charge. Is it a team? Is it a person? Is it a department of the city? I think that, again, going back to the modification of the plan or seeking out different experts. And so the best, I think, I plead with you to please take this very seriously. Every night, every evening, every month, there's dozens of pets that are getting killed. We met with, my husband and I met with a councilman who's now a mayor, was a mayor, and he said that actually Department of Fish and Wildlife told him that, and I don't want to upset anyone here, but this is the truth, what this happens is that they take a live animal to the den so that the young the cubs learn how to kill live. So it is a horrific idea for me, to think, but it is the truth, and that's what we're dealing with. So thank you for your time. Okay.
We have one final speaker, Bill Robinson.
Good evening, Council. Bill Robinson, resident. I think it'd be a good strategy tonight if you reappoint Chief Mark Taylor. To me, that was an obvious mistake and a miscarriage of justice. And I think you ought to have the courage to correct a mistake and correct a misjudgment in my mind and reappoint Mark Taylor. I don't know what he's going to do or what's going to happen, but I think on balance the city would be better off. I also wanted to talk to you about indemnification with respect to the BKK property. Community members have pointed out that perhaps we shouldn't criticize the Singpoli Corporation because they're possibly going to make a $500 million investment in our city. Well, you can look at it that way, but perhaps the project could cause at the same time $1 billion worth of environmental damage. Considering the BKK property and what's going on there and the fact that there's an ongoing treatment project 365 days a year that's going to be interfered with, I think it's possible that going ahead with the Singpoli project could do $1 billion worth of environmental damage. You ought to think about that. That perhaps puts us in the hole by only $500 million more. So any future agreements that you do with the Singpoli company, I think ought to have a strong indemnification clause so that if the project ends up with negative impacts, that the city of West Covina will end up owning a good portion of the Singpoli company. You know, that would be their reward and their liability for going ahead with a project that we don't need and many of us don't want. And I think it's ingenuous to say that some of you councilmen ran for your offices in support of the Singpoli company. Maybe in one case that's partially true, but the flyers I saw really didn't mention anything specifically. There was no specifics. The flyers I saw, you could use those to run for the city council of most of the cities in California. Unchanged. Generalities, no specifics. Singpoli, BKK, that's a specific topic, and specific sometimes in a campaign are glossed over. Anyway, I think an indemnification clause with to cite an entity, not a shell, but an entity with real assets. That way, they can't say, well, we're bankrupt and your indemnification clause is empty because, we have nothing left. You can transfer assets around. But I think that's important. And also, with respect to the proposed project, which is so far undefined, I'd like to point out that in 1965, they built next to Faith Community Church on San Bernardino Road, in between the Kindred Hospital, it was called the Lark Ellen Towers, and it was built around 65. It was 10 to 12 stories. It was used for about 20 years and sat empty for about 20 years, and it created a lot of jobs when it was built and a lot of jobs when it was torn down. But it was a project that perhaps never should have happened. And most of the people in this room probably don't know what was going on in 1965 in West Covina, but I do. And if you'll do a little research, you'll find out what was there. I think there's a condominium project on that property now. But we don't need the same mistake again.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I'd like to call forward JD.
That's why I didn't sit down. I knew you were going to get me on that. Good evening. I was wondering if I missed the update on the property purchased by the city on Lark Allen and Cameron, as well as the one north of there. The one north of there, I believe Palmview Park, it's been demolitioned. And in the same vein, Mr. Castellano asked for an update on the Sunset Field connected to this request. And we were promised an update, and I have not heard of one. I've kind of listened in on many of the council meetings since, but haven't received an update. So if we can provide us with one, Manager, appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, that's the last speaker, so we're going to close our public hearing. I do have a comment I'd like to make to the city manager. I know we've had a lot of residents speak about the Coyote situation. To me, it is getting a little bit more serious. I know we have a program, there was a program, but I think we need to stop and take a look at it again. And get, the problem with coyotes, they're just like, they cross boundary lines. They're in West Covina, they're in Covina, they're in Baldwin Park. Cities by themselves, we can't even get close to trying to accomplish anything without maybe getting the other cities involved with it and find out as a region if we can have a little bit more teeth on the agriculture and say, you need to do something. Right now pets are being killed, unfortunately, and that's sad enough as it is because I own 4 dogs myself. And a child could be one of our next victims. And I'm very concerned about that. And that really upsets me to hear about even our pets. We have 2 bigger dogs and 2 little tiny dogs. I have a Shih Tzu and a little Yorkie, and I would never let them out at nighttime, even though with our backyard, even if they went out with our bigger dogs. The bigger dogs, we have one that looks like a pit bull, but it's not. It's a terrier because it came from England. But they're pretty bad dogs. But the idea, coyotes, they can be in packs. So we need to do something. I would hope that we take another look at it. I know, our assistant city manager, she does a lot with that. Maybe if they can get together and find out. As a region, we need to do something, not just at West Covina, Baldwin Park, Covina, the cities around us, see if they're willing to all sit down with our management and see if somehow we can figure out something, put a little bit more teeth into what we need to do and find out if we can get them to do a little bit more than what they are doing. Coyotes can't read. They don't know if it's a red, yellow, or green. They can't see the different colors, what it is. They don't know what it is. We have to make sure that we do everything in our power. I don't care if we live way over where I live on the far north side or those who live on the far south side. Coyotes are all over the place. We see them in our neighborhood too. So I would hope we take a better look at that and see what we can do. Anybody else have any comments? Seeing none, now we shall move to our consent calendar. I know we have 4 items that are being polled. Number 2 by Councilman Castellanos. Number 3. Oh, you're poll number 4. I do apologize. You're poll number 4. Mayor Pro Tem is poll number 7. And Councilwoman Lopez is poll number 3 and number 10. So we have those 4 items. Do we have a motion to accept the rest of them?
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call, please.
For the record, I'd like to read in number 3, ordinance number 2459, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California, amending Chapter 6 of the City of West Covina Municipal Code. Councilman Castellanos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Councilmember Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye. Passes 5-0. Our first one was being polled is number 2, and that'd be Councilman Castellanos. Oh, I'm sorry. I got it. I keep missing it up. Number
2.
3.
Number 3, then. I do apologize. I mixed them up. Okay. I don't know what to do. Okay, number 3. Councilwoman Lopez.
Number 3 is about the animal control regulations, and I know there's been an uproar in the community regarding the change. Some of the residents had concerns that they weren't informed, but other residents confirmed that the city did do due diligence. The city did put it on the website, so thank you. The Discover West Covina direct mail flyer piece that was mailed out to all the residents, and they put flyers and brochures at the Baldwin Park shelter, correct? Okay. Because of the 4th of July fireworks and the noise, I just wanted to confirm that if all the animals are going to go directly to the Inland Valley Humane Society promoted starting this week, And how's the transition going in regards to current animals that are located in Baldwin Park Shelter? And it was mentioned that the Inland Valley has 84 kennels. What is the maximum intake? And if they are full, what happens next? So this is a big concern just because, especially this week.
Mr. Mayor, Council, and community members. So, yeah, the official start date was yesterday, July 1st, and the Inland Valley Humane Society has approximately 84 kennels. However, on a daily basis, they are holding 200 to 300 animals, because we have to remember that the size of the animal matters. So for somebody to say, well, what's the maximum intake? It depends. An example that I'll give you is that during the hillside fires, they service the cities of Chino Hills and Diamond Bar. They will set up portable kennels, and they were housing people who were displaced. So they were housing those animals. So that took up their intake to even higher, to over 300 potentially. So it really depends on the size of the animal and how long animals are staying, et cetera. But they have the capacity to be able to handle our city. Otherwise, they would not have taken on the city.
Thank you. And any additional updates that concerns might be concerned about, residents might be concerned?
I think the only thing that I would say right now is we've had a delay in receiving some data from the county for licensing. So if anybody's going to do a renewal of a license, then if you do not have your spay and neuter certificate or your information handy, then I would request a copy from Baldwin Park Shelter before heading over to Inland Valley, as they only have owner information. They don't have any information. So they're working diligently to get that information, and we've been in constant contact since February. I think there's just been a lot of transition maybe in the county and things happening. So I know they're on it, and we hope to have that resolved by tomorrow, as obviously we had hoped to have it resolved by July 1. Beyond that, I think there's some concern about, how many animals and whether they euthanize or do they not euthanize. And I think to answer that is that in the 18 months as of June, they haven't euthanized a treatable, adoptable, healthy animal. So I think that, and again, the council, when the contract came for consideration, part of that was the Getting to Zero campaign in partnership with the Inland Valley. We all want to see animals being adopted. They have over 140 partner agencies, rescue groups. They also transition animals to Irvine Animal Shelter and West End Animal Shelter in Ontario. So when they have plenty of animals and other shelters are lacking, they'll transport animals accordingly.
Thank you.
And I did like to make a statement on that. When we were deciding on if we were going to go there, I did go out and take a tour through it. And when you talk about they have 84 kennels, basically, some of those kennels, you're putting little dogs in them. Some of those kennels, you can put a half a dozen or more dogs in them. And there's still plenty of room for them, because I said the indoors, outdoors, where they are. So some of the bigger dogs, they have few. So when you say 84 kennels, you can have 300 or 400 dogs there at a time. So I see and plenty of room, because I would recommend to anybody, if they have any concerns about it, there, go out and take a tour through it. I think you'd be very, very pleasantly surprised. See how it is.
Okay, it's a good job, Mr. Mayor. Okay, and I did a lazy way. I sent a city manager to take a look and to check about, because a lot of residents concerned about the Bowen Park, okay, compared with the Pomona, okay, and I discussed with you. I say, how do you think about that? And you, okay, took a tour, okay, to the place, and I saw you post on the city website regarding the picture and how you feel the survey, okay, and maybe you can tell us how you feel about the service over there, okay, and then maybe at ease of our resident concern. They're thinking about the change, maybe it's not justified, but maybe you can tell the resident how the finding is or how you feel about the facility.
Thank you. I did spend almost half a day at the Inland Valley Center and went in skeptical and came away very impressed. The quality of the staff, the training, the very active volunteer program, the philosophy of getting to zero, no kill. It's a very impressive facility, and it's got a good spirit. And so I'm convinced that this change will result in much better service for the West Covina residents.
Okay, seeing, I think, do we have a motion to accept it?
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have roll call, please.
Councilman Castellanos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Councilmember Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next one is number 4. That'll be Councilmember Castellanos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank everyone for being here for this important day. Given the significance and importance of this appointment, I wanted to give us a chance to discuss it and talk about it. I met our interim Chief Bell several years ago, and he's always been extremely pleasant. Also witnessed his expertise and his invaluable knowledge of our department. I also like his approach with the engagement and with the community, especially with hot button issues. The social media upgrades we've implemented are also invaluable. And in general, the management approach I've witnessed with Interim Chief Bell has been stellar. It's his second stint at Interim Chief, and I'd just like to say I'm very pleased to be able to give my vote to welcome Chief Bell as the permanent chief. That's my take.
Anybody else want to say anything? Councilman Sweet.
I have very similar sentiments to Councilmember Castellanos. Many people don't know that I've basically known the chief as long as he's been here. I was a student at West Covina High when he came in as the SRO, so you could joke that we've grown up together, me to the city council, him to the chief's position. I am very honored to be on the council at this time to make this appointment. I've been very impressed with the immediate community outreach that Chief Bell engaged in as soon as he was appointed interim. Our community has gone from basically screaming daily about our police department to talking about how it has re-engaged the community, how they're seeing more patrols, they're seeing the officers more active, Coffee with the Chief is back, creating the group to address the homeless situation and now expanding it to include all issues. So I wish you luck, Chief, assuming that this vote goes the way I think it will.
Anyone else? Okay.
Well, public safety is very important, and having the right person in place will make that big of a difference. I wanted to share that I did a police ride-along, and that was a good experience. After the tour, I had Sergeant Nelson partnered up with him, and we went through the tour, the briefing, and right before we went out, he asked me if I ever shot before, and I said yes, and he said, okay, well, here's my gun. This is how you remove a holster, and then here's my pistol. In case anything should happen to me, go ahead and you know where it's at. Showed me and everything. And as soon as we got into the police car, we get a call. Armed robbery at 7-Eleven near my in-laws' place. And he said, buckle up, we're headed there. That was like our first call. And I said, okay, great. He showed me how to use the gun. Now I have an armed robbery. And I was like, wow. And that night was a very busy night. We had calls, domestic violence. We had a variety of different calls. Our police officers are very busy, and he showed me on that computer log, said this officer's attending to this officer's at the jail, this officer's here. Right now, there's only one officer that is available throughout the whole city of West Covina. And, that did bother me. It had a concern. So I just want the residents to know that our police officers do work hard. It's a mental and physical toll, and I do commend our police officers. So thank you very much for all that you do. With the right police chief in place, I know that I've seen the rank and file morale increase. I know before I got here, I've seen a lot of bashing about our police and, saying all this, but now it's a different aura, and I do appreciate that. I appreciate that the Chief Bell went out to our community. I did attend the chat with the chief, and it was nice to see residents have a one-on-one meeting with him to ask him any questions at all, one-on-one, and they were able to meet with them, and residents were very happy with that, so thank you. I know we've had our long conversations as well. And the expectations and communication is a very key. And thank you for reaching out to the residents who created Take Back Our Neighborhood. So I fully I strongly confirm the appointment of Chief Bell. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, remember 2 years ago, July 4th, okay, at the celebration night, and that time you are the acting chief, okay, interim chief, remember? And I asking you, I say, why not you didn't apply? Okay, and you say, well, you want to give this opportunity to somebody else. And I say, you will qualify, okay, give a try. Okay, and then 2 years later, we have this opportunity, and you step up, okay, you step up, okay, take the leadership. I think the important thing is the leadership, okay, the leadership, the leader will totally change an agency, a company, or a city, or a country, okay, because a good leadership put people together, have people to work together, have people to willing to risk their life to protect and serve our community. I think this is so important, a good leader, a right leader, and have our police officer to work together, and they have a strong and a big morale, okay, and willing to serve. Okay, I think this is so important for our community to have a very important, our public safety, because they are so proud about their job, and I know you are so proud to be our chief, because the chief only coming once a lifetime chance. Okay, I'm so glad, okay, you took this opportunity and you're willing to take it and to help our West Covina City, to make our West Covina City safe, to make our residents safe, to make our children safe. I think it's so important, and you are going to deliver your promise. I congratulate you to take this opportunity, and I want to wish you best. Okay, and hopefully we have a chance to talk. We haven't talked yet because I trust you. Okay, but later on, okay, after you get appointed permanently, I'm going to have a long talk with you. Hopefully, go through with all the detail. You know, I'm a long-winded. I will talk forever. So I will guarantee you, I only take maybe 2 hours, no more than 3 hours. Okay, thank you so much. Congratulations. Okay.
All right. First of all, I want to say congratulations, Chief Bell. You know, I know how we feel about you, and I know how your department and your POA feels about you. That is the most important thing. You know, when you have the trust of your rank and file, that sets your course as being a successful police chief. You cannot do your job if you do not have the support of your men behind you, your men and women behind you. And I know that you do. I've talked to them, and you have their support 100%. You have, from what I understand, listen to our council, you have our support 100%. I know you will do a fantastic job. I think everything's been said that has to be said. I want to say thank you for stepping up to the plate. I know there was time, there was some doubt, but you know what? You are the right man at the right time in the right place for the city of West Covina. And as a resident of the city of West Covina, I can't be more proud to call you my chief of police in the city of West Covina. Congratulations.
Hey, I'll move.
No.
I'll move the appointment.
I would like to make a motion, move
Who's
the motion.
known him the longest?
Okay, you know what? We're not to argue about it. Make the motion. Make the motion.
I move appointment of Police Chief Richard Bell with adjustment to the salary range of the police chief, and approve the following resolution, resolution number 2019-54.
Who wants a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's say, you know what? Let's just do it all at one time. Okay, all those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
I didn't want to go a roll call. You got a roll call. All 5 of us did it at one time. Congratulations. Chief, would you like to come down and say a couple words?
And this one? Turn around. Here we go. Well, I certainly can't thank you enough. I guess I can at this point screw it up since but I would like to first start by saying good evening to you, council, staff, and members of the viewing audience, as well as those that are in attendance here. I would like to thank the city manager and the council for considering me for this position. It means a lot to me. A little bit about myself. I'm a big family guy. As you can see, I have my wife and my son here. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I have my wife and my son here. My wife is my biggest fan, and my son is like a close second, I guess. You know, he's obviously a little thinner than I am and a little better looking, but I'll still take him. He needs to know that. But I really appreciate my family. I really pride myself on the family atmosphere, and that's what drew me here to West Covina. It was a big family. I remember when I was in the academy, before I ever got here, I was being recruited by another agency, and the chief of police at the time was from West Covina. And he gave a dynamic speech about the qualities of West Covina and what it meant to be a resident of West Covina and what it meant to live here in this city. And I was so impressed with it. I remember saying at the time, man, I would really like to work for that city. And I didn't know that 2.5 years later that I would be working for that city. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up here in Pasadena, which is just a little bit up the way here. I was an athlete. I excelled in football. I ended up getting a scholarship to Nebraska. When I left Nebraska, I did a small little stint in the NFL. Very proud of that. But when I left the NFL, I found my passion, which is police work. And this is what I love to do. This is what I believe that I was born to do, is police work. So West Covina introduced me to all the things that would come, you know, and help prepare me for this moment that I'm at now. I want you to know that I don't take this lightly. It's a great honor to be the police chief of West Covina. I gave it some great thought. And I know some people ask me, why didn't you do it before, right? And it wasn't the right time before. But I'm here to tell you that this time is the right time. And I'm here to serve this community and give you my best. I really care about the people here. I care about the men and women that I work with. I care about the men and women that I work for. And I care about the citizens of this great city. You know, if you don't know anything about me, I'm very competitive. I'll just tell you a quick little story. My wife and I was playing spades one time. I'll tell you how competitive I was. And she played the wrong card. Now, I like to win. Like I don't care if you're 2 years old. If we're playing hopscotch, I'm winning. I'm just telling you, right? But she played the wrong card, and I got a little upset. And, you know, she told me she was never going to play with me again. And so I had to tone it down a little bit. But I'm still very competitive. So when you speak of West Covina, you speak of the best. Our SWAT team is the best. I'll put our SWAT team up against anybody in the nation. Our people are the best. We go through a very tough vetting system when we hire people. We don't just take anybody. You have to meet the challenges of this department. And so we've been doing that for years. And I'm here to tell you, we got some of the best people here. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to unleash them. We're going to let their minds unleash on this city. We are going to do stuff that we've never done before. We're going to step out the box a little bit. I don't know exactly where we're going to end up, but I do know it's going to be right, and I do know that we're going to do it together. So you're going to get 100% from me, and I thank you so much for electing me as your chief. Thank you.
All right, that was great. Where do we go from here? Our next one is item number 7. That'd be Mayor Pro Tem Wu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is the reason I'm putting up. So, I'm strongly support this resolution. I think a lot of people maybe don't understand why this resolution is so important, because I represent West Covina, joined the COG, the Council of Government. This is a San Gabriel Valley, totally about 25-30 city, joined together as Council of Government. Basically this is a big entity. They have almost an entire San Gabriel Valley city, and West Covina is one of the big city inside this agency. And they have the state, have their chief energy guy came to talk to us, try to persuade us that we have to use the so-called clean energy. Okay, and by the governor, okay, Brown last year signed the Bill 100. Basically, in 2045, everything had to be electric. So meaning the gas company, you will be obsolete. Okay, meaning that the choice, okay, of the people almost gone. So this is right now. This bill is we against that. Basically, we want to have a local control rather than the state control what we can use, what we cannot use. And basically, it's this. Okay, if the Governor Brown let Bill 100 continue to implement, basically, okay, and the gas stove, everything will be obsolete. So everything will be electric. And the point is this, they said because this is much safer and then much cleaner, recycle energy because solar panel. But my argument is this, yes, true, your gas company has a Morgan Ranch, okay, and they have a leak, but anybody get killed? They have maybe some pollution. But how about the transformer blow up, okay, and then you have a lead wildfire? How many people got killed? More than 100. How many houses get burned down? Thousands. So the point is this, you don't have everything is put all the egg in one basket. You need it diverse. So I have no problem with, okay, clean energy, okay, but if I'm driving the Hummer, okay, but my point is, the point is we need to have a diverse option for people to choose what to use. That's what this country is about. I think you control, only have one energy is too risky. If this is shut down, then we have nothing. We have no hot water. We have no power. We have nothing at all. So I want to strongly support this resolution, and I hope this, okay, our city council can support this. We want to keep this a local control, okay, and we don't want the state to tell us we only can use electricity or solar panel, okay, in 2045. Okay, so okay, thank you.
Councilman Castaneda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to just quickly echo Mayor Pro Tem Wu's sentiment. It makes no sense in my mind why we would eliminate gas. It's a no-brainer. I mean, we got to maintain our own decision-making ability here, and so many reasons why eliminating gas would be dumb. So I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Wu. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, can we have a motion?
Yeah, move the motion to approve, please.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Castellanos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Councilmember Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next one is item number 10, and that is Councilwoman Lopez.
Oh, item two?
No, not two.
Did you approve two? I got confused.
You kept saying two. You approved it.
I'm all caught up now. Thank you. Okay. So we need to have that public hearing.
We need to have a public hearing on it.
Mayor, if I may, your next item would be the public hearing portion, which is the Business Improvement District. I'm happy to give a report.
I do apologize. I'm getting off base. That is a public hearing. Sorry about that. You're supposed to be yelling at me.
If I may give a brief report.
I'm sorry, but first we have to open it up. Hold on 1 second, please. This is a public hearing. All right, this time we shall open up a public hearing. This is a time to set forth for the public hearing of the City Council regarding the following matter. Public hearing regarding the West Covina Auto Plaza Business Improvement District Fiscal Year 2019-2020 Annual Report and Assessment. First of all, there's no notice Madam City Clerk, has any notice? No.
Yes, noticing is verified.
Have you received any verification of anybody?
We have not.
Okay. So at this time, we shall have a staff report. Then I shall open it up to public comment.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item was continued from your...
Is there anything different from the staff report that was published or as part of the agenda?
No, thank you, and we're recommending approval pending any public testimony.
Thank you.
That was my report. There we go.
Okay, do I have any residents? Now's your time for you to come up and have something to say about it. If not, I shall close the public comment on it, and we will have a vote.
I'll move this on.
Yes.
Okay, we talk about Auto Plaza. business district, right?
Yes, sir.
Business improvement district. And I know they have some, changing of ownership, and who is the person represent the new board member? Because I attend the board member meeting before. So I think we should be introduced by those new members. I don't know how many have been changed. Do anybody know? Do we have a new leadership, dealership, ownership changing hand? Maybe Paulina knows anything about that. So who is represent the board member, and can they be introduced so we can attend their meeting, see what they need? My point is this, because the dealership is so important to our, sales tax revenue, we need to see what they need. As city council, our city, to see how can we help them to work together, partnership, to help them with any request so we can improve their sales. Because we have this 10 freeway with so many dealers, and this dealership is very vital for our income. So maybe we can inquiry about all those new dealership owner, see what they need, and we can help them. So maybe Paulina can help us with some of the information.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Actually, staff has met with the new ownership for the 3 dealerships that were formerly the Penske-owned dealerships, and now I think it's, I forgot the name off the top of my head of the new ownership. Envision, thank you. So we did meet with Simon, and I don't remember his name, the owner for Envision. We can set up meetings for you if you'd like to meet them individually. We can do so and connect you with them. But when we met with the Auto Plaza Association board, the new ownership, Simon, was part of that meeting. And part of that meeting, we do kind of touch base with the auto dealership owners and ask, how their business is doing, and if there's anything that the city can continue to do to provide the, assistance to help with their sales.
As I remember before,
I want to make sure that we stay on the agenda item, which is the Business Improvement District resolution of whether to approve the tax levy.
So maybe we have a chance to see the new dealership, and we see how can we help them, and maybe approve this thing. So anyway, with counsel of our attorney, we may be off the subject, but I think it's very important for the board member, because right now we have no idea who they are, what they need. And so maybe we can have this thing set up so we can, otherwise we have no idea what we approve, because you have all the new members over there, and what they need. So anyway, thank you.
My question is about the sign on Azusa, or in front of the Honda dealership. We've got the monument sign. It's kind of old. Do you know when that might be in line to be replaced? I think it needs a little love.
Actually, the association, I believe, was within the last 2 years, had it repainted and the lights fixed, and we did new landscaping, but it is outdated compared to the new reader board sign and the look. So that's something that we can go back to the Auto Plaza Association and see if they're willing to make a change in the monument sign to bring it, to make it look similar to the reader board.
Yes, please do, and I would accept your offer from earlier to meet with them, and hopefully I could encourage that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and a following question regarding, this, since we're going to approve this, who is the president now? Because before is the president, of Penske owner. And now we approve this, so, have they changed their structures? Who have been sworn in as their president, board member, since they changed the ownership? So when we approve this, are we approve the old entity, or we approve the new, the member? Since they sold the 3 Penske, Penske, Mercedes, Penske, Audi, and Toyota, right? So meaning, and they are the major, stakeholder of this membership. So, so who is in charge now?
So at the annual meeting held in May, the advisory board did hold elections, and because the Norms Reeves dealership owner had the most seniority on the association board, they voted in him as the president. He was previously the vice president. And so I don't remember the other members who was appointed for the other positions of VP, treasurer, and clerk. So I can get you that information.
Yeah, so then my question would be, if they have a change of this board member, why the city council have been informed so we can maybe attend with this changing of the board member?
The annual meeting.
Since we have to approve this.
The annual meeting is for the advisory board, and then their recommendation comes to the city council. It's a separate board, and I think the city attorney could hopefully chime in a little bit more about that. But they're their own board that's based on the ownership of the dealerships. So it's not something that is dictated from the city. It's based on who owns the dealerships. And so with the new ownership of the Toyota, the Mercedes, and the Audi, the new owner of those dealerships then become members of the advisory board automatically for owning the dealerships.
So just to clarify, so Dave Conant is now president?
Correct. He's president, and I believe Simon from Envision is the vice president.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, shall we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Castellanos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Councilmember Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye, passes 5-0. Okay, now we're going to move to the mayor and council members' reports. First of all, we're going to start with the AB 1, 2, 3, 4s. Do we have any council members like to report on any 1234? Seeing none. We shall move to item number 9, which is considered digital billboard advertising in the city limits, and that was something I asked to bring forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item returns at the request of the mayor with the concurrence of the council, concerns the possibility of putting electronic message boards along the freeway. We've done some initial research as to the potential for sites and revenue. These boards are in size 14 by 48 feet, and the potential for revenue is somewhere between $120,000 guaranteed, and the other revenues contained within the board are based on a profit-sharing arrangement. Council's options tonight are really myriad. We're seeking your direction as to whether you wish to pursue this and how. Perhaps a referral to the Planning Commission. Perhaps you want to just ask us to get to work on negotiating documents for your consideration, but we'd like your direction.
My opinion, I know the council probably don't have some questions too. Mine, this needs to go to the Planning Commission. Yes, I'd like to see us move forward with it, but we have to have it done the right way. And that's what our Planning Commission's for. They're to set up the parameters for it. And where myself, I was looking at no more than maybe a half a dozen, the whole length of the whole freeway, and let them figure it out. What it is. I know that I want them to be in taste. I don't want to just throw some ugly billboards up there. The reader billboards are really good. So, and as a city with financial situations that we have, I think this would be a good way that you have a steady income. It isn't just, but it's for the city. We can do a lot more with it. So, do we have any more input from the city council? You might want to say anything about
it. I think this intention is very good. Okay, I think the city need money. Okay, and the digital LED. My company, I put the LED outside my office. I think it can attract because I own the crossroad intersection. I think this give a lot of good, visual, attention. The concern I have is this. Okay, and you drive in the 10 freeway and you see they already have so many of big digital billboard. So I don't know how many is enough, okay? And do we need to cloud this, okay? And on the street, okay, next, okay. Right now you see you have 1, 2, 3, and you have a portal. Then you have West Covina Plaza. Then you have I think another one. Then you have a dealer. Then you have a couple of. It's all huge, okay? So I don't know how many you can put squeezing in between and. I read through it. Okay, I think you get $20,000, $30,000 of. So I don't know. Is that wise? Okay, I'm not against it. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, I'm saying. Okay, we have to be careful on what we wish for, because when you put over there, possible it's permanent over there. It's very difficult to you to remove it, just like our South Tower. Okay, so we have to be careful to see where to be tastefully to put over there and not dirty, okay, and visually to our city. Because right now you see already quite a lot of the signage, and plus now you can see, okay, and a nice beautiful building and the neon sign is pretty nice. Okay, I don't know how many is too many. Okay, another thing, if we are doing this, how about we let the Barranca Tower building to put a huge, big LED, okay, film coming down, just like New York, okay, Times Square, and they have say, "Welcome to West Covina," or "Merry Christmas," okay, and something like this, and you can put an advertisement over there. Maybe bring more income. And plus, you put our city on the map with this gigantic, LED sign coming down. And the other city has that. If you go to see the New York, so if we want to do that, maybe we should consider, can we allow, the big building of Tower building of Barranca to have a chance to see they can get a thing. If they want to spend the money, pay us a lot of planning fee, a lot of permit fee. So this is another suggestion, okay, since we were thinking about we want the income. But I really want to be careful, okay, about this thing, okay, is that we are going to make our, entire, frontage of the 10 freeway so crowded with a lot of sign. And when you have so many signs, then your advertisement is not effective due to just so many, okay? So you once a blue moon, you have one here, tastefully do, so possible that would be better. But again, this is my concern. I'm not against this again, okay? I'm just concerned about, and something maybe we need to be careful what we wish for. Thank you.
No, that's why I was saying I wouldn't want it myself. I wouldn't want to see any more than 6 all the way from Grand all the way to Pointing on either side of the city. either side of the freeway. So this is something why the Planning Commission has to look at it. They have to make the decision, bring it back to us. If we don't like what they bring back to us, we have the right to revise it. So that was, anybody else?
Caltrans requires 1,000 feet between billboards. But Caltrans isn't the only agency we have to be concerned with. This is also a federal issue when it comes to billboards on interstate highways. So I was a little surprised not to see an analysis there. This is something I'm interested in. Councilmember Castellanos brought up the sign for the auto dealerships. I would like to see us talk to the auto dealerships, to the mall, to Eastland about possibly getting into a partnership with them to replace the signs and share revenue for a billboard that does more than just advertise necessarily their business. I think Eastland is still limited to only advertising the businesses that are in Eastland. So they may definitely be interested in the ability to actually advertise more by putting this type of billboard up and sharing the revenue with the city. So those are my only thoughts at this point. I agree that I don't want them, every 1,000 feet. I don't think it's necessary. I think we have enough and enough partners willing to work with us that we can make this feasible.
Anyone else?
Not much else to add. Just all good points. I think we're on the right track by evaluating everything there is to look at on this topic. And so that's what I think we should do. Send it to Planning Commission with all of the topics discussed in mind.
I'll be done pretty soon. Okay, I want to follow. Councilwoman Shoemaker. She asking about the sign. As I remember, I went to the meeting about the signage of the auto dealership. I think the city has about, right? Am I right, Nicole? We have a 10% usage time. Okay, so they can promote. As you can see, if we have, and the same thing to West Covina Plaza, I think they allow us to have a 10%. And for the Auto Plaza, I think they have about 20%. They can lease out, so they can make money and share with city. As I remember, I started this about 2 years ago. Okay, I joined the meeting about this. Business district association. Okay, since we lended the money, I think we lended $560,000, right? Okay, and then they give us and we approve it 2 years ago about this, and we can use a 10%, and plus they can lease out. And we even talk about some other company now on the freeway frontage, and they want to utilize, they can pay the fee. So I think this is same token about the Councilwoman Shoemaker talking about some of we can utilize this big and LED board and to maybe partnership. So and we don't have to build so many of huge LED board right next to 10 feet. I think we have about 10 exits. And we have this 10 assets. You always see so many. I don't know how many. Doesn't look that bad. Or it's okay. So maybe they need to study about that. Thank you.
I could confirm that. So the city did provide the auto dealership business improvement district a loan of $532,000, roughly around there. And in exchange, the city does get 10% usage, but it is for community events or community programs. So it's not necessarily advertising, but it's more just for those types of events and programming for the city-sponsored events. As far as the plaza, I don't know if we have a formal agreement, but they do allow us to promote our, once again, programs and events on their reader board. And I believe that the doctor's office, doctor's hospital also allows us to advertise on, to promote, I should say, our community events and programs on their reader board. And we don't have a formal agreement with them either.
Okay, seeing no other questions, I'd like to make a motion to move this item forward.
And I'll second that.
So for clarification, what is the exact motion to direct staff to initiate the requirement?
Initiate what we wanted to and move it to planning. Have planning take it up.
And in this motion, including the tower building, the LED sign for them to research?
Good point. I think, yes, I think we should discuss everything related to what was discussed today and look at all options
With
and
that,
possibilities.
I will go yes. Without that, I would say no.
Well, I don't have a problem with moving that forward, along with the motion I had in the first place. So we have a motion and a second with the caveat about what Mayor Pro Tem is asking for.
The tower building with
yes.
the LED.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. We have roll call, please.
I'm sorry, can you clarify who made the second?
I did.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Castellanos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Councilmember Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu?
Aye.
And Mayor Johnson?
Aye. Passes 5-0. Now we shall move to item number 10. And this is a Measure A update by Councilwoman Lopez asked for it. And I know what it says is that the staff has recommended the City Council receive and file this informational report. Did you have any questions you want to ask for us?
Yes, actually, thank you, Commissioner Phil, for the update, and I do remember a few things when we were as commissioners. I just wanted to get additional detailed reports, such as the things that he did mention: maintenance costs, safe neighborhood parks proposition, possibly reimbursement to our general fund. And if I could just get that information as well as relay that information out as well. Thank you.
And I'd just like to add, could we get copies of the past bids? Some of the bids for work, I know stuff's expensive, but they just seem kind of high. So I wanted to take a look at why past bids for like the restroom project alone or parking lot, restroom, and tot lot were so high. So if we could get that, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Council, if you would like me to clarify, the questions that Commissioner Kaufman had raised, we have discussed in some of that at Commission. We're going to discuss it again at the next Commission meeting. The projects that are on the list on the attachment that you have, all of those are from the previous proposition, which was 92 and 96. So that escrow account that we have, that has accumulated interest over time, but all of those maintenance dollars were for those projects, but only for the projects that you have in the attachment. So if the project was completed, which it shows closed in the attachment, that means that the project was completed. It's a reimbursement account. We only get reimbursed for the maintenance dollars if the project has been done and we submit our invoices and reimbursements. So to ask about going back retroactively, Phil and I have actually spoken about that, and yes, we can go back retroactively. The issue that existed before was that the Measure A, or we'll just call it in general, park bond grants, those were being moved from department to department over the last, course of 20 years because you had people that were resigning, moving on, laid off, whatever the, reorganization of departments. So when I got here 4 years ago, we had that, we were taking that on as somebody had just left from another department, and then we were actually in the process of giving it back to Public Works at one point and then had to retain it because we were going to go through another reorg. So it's one of those where a lot of time and energy can be spent on it if you have one person dedicated to it. Right now, we're not focused on going back in the rears 2 to 5 years or anything like that. We're focused on drawing down the funds. So you'll see the other attachment in the report was about $980,000. So we'll just call it $1 million. Out of the $2 million that we have in an escrow account, $1 million of that is already spoken for, like actively, that we're working on drawing down. In addition, the splash pad, yes, the splash pad is something, Commissioner Kaufman, that we have regularly invoiced for, and annually we get reimbursed for it. I think there was a different philosophy, and maybe our interim finance director will have a different philosophy, but there were certain aspects that because it was a reimbursement account, previous finance directors didn't want to necessarily account for that, and so it was always budgeted, and then we just knew that we were getting the reimbursement money back. So I think moving forward, obviously there's going to be a lot of conversations about how we're accounting for the projects. And I can tell you that Kelly, who manages the grant now, is on top of it, and he knows the details. We have files on everything. So if you want the backup documentation, I mean, I'd be more than happy to have you come over to the old office and we can comb through them. It's a lot. I mean, we're talking about files and files of old documents. So it's not something that's just a simple summary because they're all in different places and from different times in history. But I'd be more than happy to provide whatever detail the council would like.
Okay, seeing no other question, we have a motion to receive and file.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I have a roll call.
Councilman Castellanos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Councilmember Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Wu?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye. On our last room, on number 11, we have a Mother May I by Councilwoman Lopez, please.
This is just to have the city explore action steps in support of the continuing revitalization of the old downtown West Covina, sorry, it's a long day, West Covina, Glendora Avenue.
And when you say continue, you say continue because we have a downtown plan before and kind of suspended, shut down. And are you going to see the survey? How about maybe just a light renovation, or you want a full shebang like before? Okay, because before we have a big $12 million bond.
No, I don't want that. I know based on the budget we have, I don't want that whole SCAG
maybe you can clarify
program.
for you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, pretty much, and I did meet with Dr. Forrest Tennant. The area there needs some basic, pretty much basic love. It's the bare necessities. There's things like the planters, things are broken, and that's on our city side, and it's almost horrendous. So we just wanted to see if we can also work with the businesses there, see what we can do to improve the area, not just aesthetically, but hopefully, and without the major cost or anything like that. So that's the focus that I wanted to do.
So maybe you can add on, so maybe city can look into the major M or gas tax money to utilize the restricted fund, not going to our general fund to use to kind of rehab the street. The street look horrible, but I think you made the mayor basically it's not going to be the full shebang thing. So that's it.
I won't make this too long. I just want to add a little bit. As both of my fellow council members already mentioned, it needs some love. Parking lot, the planters are empty. I think there are things we could do there to make it look much nicer. And I think getting all the owners together, I've heard it's been tried in the past, but I think that's a critical first step, is identifying who owns what, seeing if there's any kind of interest to bring at least a majority together and discussing it from there.
I would also like to look at the status of businesses going into the colony. I didn't think it would take, 20 years for businesses to move into there, and look at the agreement when they were allowed to build in terms of, I believe they were required to have the businesses there if there's any language about them actually putting businesses in there. I would also like to check in with the owners of where Michael's and Best Buy used to be, because it's sitting there empty. There's a lot of community complaints about what's going on with the water fountains and things like that. And so I know the general plan was approved, but we need to actually start looking at this area. I know there's somebody interested in possibly building new units over there. So as part of the revitalization, I want to know what else is going on so we have a cohesive plan and we actually start working towards it. And no, I'm not talking about the 150-foot piece of grass. I mean the building's actual structures.
So my question would be, what kind of Mother May I now? We can look like we all the places now.
Pretty much to look at everything that is mentioned here, without going that 100, that whole program or anything. It's just take into consideration of what each council member mentioned and move forward with that. Thank you.
Okay, that's Mother May. That's all we need to talk about it. Okay, I think they got a slight direction which way we should move on it. And whenever you can come back with it, we'd appreciate it. Okay, at this time, we're going to adjourn the city council meeting. We have a closed session we have to go into. I don't think there's anything to report out of closed session. You're more than welcome to hang around if you want to. If not, you guys can go to Denny's to get something to eat. We shouldn't be that long, I hope. Okay. This meeting is now closed.